Tornadoes, one of Mother Nature's most destructive forces.
Crossing the road, a quarter mile. There goes, look at the house! The house is coming apart!
The financial and emotional cost is always large when a tornado strikes a town. This is the heart and soul as to why we study tornadoes. The damage you are seeing is not from a fictional apocalyptic movie. These are actually images from the aftermath of a series of tornadoes that devastated the Tuscaloosa, Birmingham area back in 2011. The strongest of these was an EF4 tornado, which reached a path width of up to 1.5 miles. When the skies finally cleared, the tornado left behind a damaged path 80.7 miles long, killing 64 people and causing $2.4 million in property damage. Tuscaloosa isn't alone. Almost all of these events racked up at least $1 billion in property damages. These events occur mostly in Tornado Alley. This is because the conditions there are perfect for tornadoes. This is due to the collision of contrasting air masses, and when the right ingredients are present, a tornado outbreak will occur.
At tornado-producing storms, you need to have rotating updrafts. And rotating thunderstorm updrafts occur when there's also wind shear present. So you need shear to be co-located with cape.
Tornado researchers like Dr. Markowski are trying to understand tornadoes so that we will be able to increase warning times and their effectiveness. However, there is one thing that is holding these researchers back, and that is the issue of climate change. Climate change is one of the most important issues in today's society. The future of the Earth depends on how well we take care of it now, something we are currently failing at. This graph is called the hockey stick graph, and it shows the amount of carbon in our atmosphere. Without getting too specific, because of the greenhouse effect, we will see an increase in the temperatures as a result of increased amount of carbon. Climate change does not only have to deal with global warming. There are many other effects of climate change, including melting ice caps, new precipitation trends causing more droughts and more floods, and yes, effects on hurricanes, storms, and other severe weather events. To learn about how climate change will affect these storms, we must narrow it down to the individual ingredients that will affect tornadoes.
Most climate models, maybe even all climate models, it seems to be a fairly robust result actually, show that in the future there will be more days that have this combination of instability and wind shear that we need for severe storms and tornadoes as well. There seem to be fewer tornado days. So fewer days during the season when tornadoes occur, but those days have more tornadoes on them.
Indeed, Dr. Markowski is correct. Anyone looking at this graph can tell that there is an upward trend of tornadoes per year since the 1950s. Other than frequency, the tornadoes are also increasing in their area of coverage over the United States. This is primarily because of a shift in the jet stream.
As the jet stream moves more poleward in the average sense, yes, tornado frequencies, the areas of maximum activity will also shift poleward as well.
If we look back at this map, we can see a whole bunch of new cities included in the new Tornado Alley that have not experienced tornadoes before.
In Norman, Oklahoma, so this is the heart of Tornado Alley, the average recurrence interval for a tornado is 1,915 years, meaning that if you live in the middle of Tornado Alley today, on average you'd have to wait almost 2,000 years between tornadoes. In Chicago, it's 4,178 years. So Chicago's average recurrence interval is more than double that in Norman, meaning tornadoes are more than twice as likely today to happen in Norman as in Chicago. Let's say Chicago is in the middle of Tornado Alley 500 years from now. So the recurrence interval goes from 4,000 years to 2,000 years in Chicago. What's the policy action item? There is none. Are you going to really build stronger shelters and more basements just because something's now going to happen every 2,000 years instead of every 4,000 years?
This no policy action is what's most dangerous about climate change and tornadoes. Since officials will not have any hardcore data telling them that this will happen to their community, there will not be enough incentive to provide funding to build shelters and other such things. With policy action unlikely, the most important thing is to know what your own plan is. Know where to go in case of severe weather, and always pay attention to local news and radio stations for live updates as the storms unfold.